Tri-City Sports Now, you got Marky Billson here. And you're talking a little bit about, college football. Do not expect. That's the Cade Weldon. Just don't even consider him this year. So that's the news that I'm getting out. I'll tell you who also you should not expect to see this year. Oh, he'll probably play, but he shouldn't. I think you know what I'm talking about, Tennessee fans. Bryce Thompson. You heard Matt Pauley talk about the suspension that he had, the reason why. Evidently, do we have Britney Spears womanizer? No, we don't. Well, I can get that up here right now. But yes, this is the all-time reason to suspend, or for a football player to get into a domestic dispute, and it does not speak well of him at all. Here we go. You heard it there. His girlfriend of 4 years found fake eyelashes in his dorm room. They had an argument of 10 to 20 minutes. It went out into the hallway. Thompson, described by the responding officer, as cops were called, as extremely upset and agitated, allegedly made two, you're having an argument right there, okay. Made 2 threats during the argument with his girlfriend, and he said some very nice things. He was going to slap the expletive out of her. By the way, he didn't say expletive. He also didn't say her. I wonder if it had something to do if what he used was a term that's also used for a female dog. And then he went one step more. He said he was going to shoot up the school. You got your Brittany? There we go. Wait a minute here. We get this. You got to get the bumper music down, and then we will go. And yes, anyway, I know, world's slowest computer. It works so well here. All right. I had a girlfriend who liked that song right there. Yeah, that's the opening to it. So she was womanizer and all this. All right, so what we're going to do now is we got to look at this, though. And look, I know Thompson is a very valuable member of the UT secondary. They won't need him. He's suspended indefinitely. They won't need him to beat Georgia State. They might to beat BYU. Here's what I hope doesn't happen. They experiment, wait and see. Zach Wilson, the quarterback at BYU that was 18 for 18 in his bowl game for 317 yards, then comes on and does this wonderful, masterful job against and shreds the UT secondary up. And then they say, well, we need Bryce Thompson back. You know what I'd really like to see? Instead of indefinite, guy had to spend 12 hours in jail. There were, a $3,000 bond. He threatened to shoot up the school, for crying out loud. I know we get angry and all this, but let's consider here about what's been going on at UT lately. Williams, Johnson, Dre Bowles. I know this is a heck of a lot more serious than Rashard Golden flashing Alabama fans the finger, but there hasn't been a whole lot of class going on. And frankly, if there is one strength of UT, if there is a unit that they can afford to lose a star player, it's probably the secondary. And so I call on Jeremy Pruitt not to suspend the threatening defensive back Bryce Thompson indefinitely, but send a message that you can't, because you're a good football player, scream at police officers that you're going to shoot up the school because you were allegedly caught cheating on your girlfriend. This is a look that reminds one of the Dre Bulls situation. And you know what? I thought it at the time. I thought it was time for Butch Jones, and it's amazing. They'll knock Butch Jones for everything, but somehow they'll believe him when he says, oh, I didn't call Dre Bulls a traitor. Did he? Did he not? Bulls in sworn testimony says yes. However, here's the situation. It reminds you of that, doesn't it? It reminds you of, my goodness, there was a woman who was violated here somehow, some way, and I guess, the football players were not found to be guilty of rape, but still, they were found in a courtroom to be awfully kinky. I'll just put it that way. Thompson was taken into custody and charged with domestic assault because he caused his girlfriend to reasonably fear imminent bodily injury. Do you really need that on the team? I've actually got an excuse. I mean, I've said, if everything goes right for the Vols this year, 8-4. If everything goes wrong, probably about 5-7. Right now, everything is going wrong. They're down 2 linemen, and now this. Jeremy Pruitt, though, I would kick him off the team because I then have a built-in excuse if I don't win big. Well, I had to instill discipline here. I had to instill a culture of no nonsense of, we can't accept this. The other thing I was going to say is consider the Lady Vols. Obviously not competing on the hardwood the way they did against Pat Summitt. Oh, that's all Holly's fault. No, it isn't. I thought it was amazing that Holly Warlick was able to get the recruiting classes that she was after the Dre Bulls situation. Oh, yes, a Lady Vols athlete. She is bringing rape charges against 2 football players. But what happens? We get 16 coaches who come out there and say, nothing to see here. Oh, how reassuring. Question. If you're a female athlete, basketball player, you can go wherever you want to. Sure, Tennessee has a lot of tradition, but do you go there when that's the environment and not Connecticut and not Mississippi State and not South Carolina and not Notre Dame? I don't think you do. And, yeah, I mean, if you've got somebody who, is threatening to shoot up the school in a domestic incident and he's not kicked off the team, then, yeah, does the female athlete want to come to Tennessee? Now, we can discuss this, how much that is brought up. I've talked about Tristan Retke. Is that going to prevent, African Americans from coming to ETSU? And I've been told by Carl Torbush and Steve Forbes it didn't come up in a recruiting conversation. Still, though, it's not a good look. It doesn't help. And this doesn't help either, this Bryce Thompson situation, if in the future you're trying to recruit female athletes, especially at, yes, the school in which Dre Bulls was beaten up for trying to help a woman who said she had been raped, who was a Lady Vols athlete. All right, that's not the only Tennessee news coming out. Malik Gray, if you were expecting him to be a big wide receiver after Jennings and Callaway this year, don't. He's going to transfer to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Anyway, he was a top 100 prospect from Laverne High School in Tennessee. He had been going between wide receiver and DB. Joined the Vols in 2017 as one of the highest-ranked prospects of former coach Butch Jones's final signing class at Tennessee. He did play as a true freshman at safety, but he redshirted last year. He only played in one game, and that was Tennessee's victory against Charlotte. And, of course, you remember Tennessee really struggled on offense against Charlotte. So, Pruitt said that Malik Gray is a guy with some size and has some speed. Been a defensive player. We recruited, he says we recruited him. I mean, we recruited him in Alabama, and he didn't play DB in high school, so, who knows what. Basically, it's one of Butch Jones's guys, and Pruitt is saying he wants his own people, and, so it comes down, he's going to be transferring to a junior college, where, a couple of years there, who knows? Could go to a place like Mississippi State, which traditionally, has a lot of good junior college prospects, maybe an FCS, and could do, could rebound. Rebirth for his career. Who knows? But the Vols are down a receiver. How much he was going to play, who knows? Anyhow, that is not the end of the world. In other news, UT has been installed as a 26-point favorite over Georgia State. The over-under is 57.5. You might get some sources, depending on the casino or the odds maker, about a half point either way, but let's just say 26-point favorite. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Appalachian State, a 32.5-point favorite over ETSU. Over-under there is 51.5. The thing, though, is, in that game, is that Appalachian State is going to be down a key wide receiver. And that is kind of interesting. We're going to talk about that with SoCon John Hooper. But the receiver's name, Corey Sutton, was suspended against ETSU and for violating a team rule. That could be, anything from murder to you are late for a class. Probably not murder. There usually are additional records if that's the case. He was arrested with Sutton by Boone police in possession of marijuana on June 7th following a traffic stop because his left headlight wasn't working and he smelled marijuana coming from the car, and it's like drunk driving. And now Sutton, a junior, caught 44 passes last year for 10 touchdowns at Appalachian.
Meeting, run afternoon errands, return to school.